This episode of Setting the Pace was previously recorded on Thursday, November 6, 2025. Hope you all enjoy.
This is Haliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
Welcome back, Pacer Nation, to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and joining me is the president of the Taylor and Peter fan club. It is Michael J. Facci. Facci, I'm taking away the Jermaine O'Neal president, at least for until the end of the year.
Yeah, right. You can't see it, but above, I've decorated my office. I have my Twitter profile picture, the Bring Jermaine O'Neal Back to Indiana sign. That's autographed by him. I've hung it. Looks nice. Jermaine's always part of my office.
Why don't you have that in your background?
Because I'm going to put shelves behind me. And then I use it as my work office. So it's like in front of my whole team and all my meetings. I don't need just a giant Bring Jermaine O'Neal Back to Indiana sign.
The president of the Jermaine O'Neal fan club wouldn't be afraid of that.
Yeah, maybe not. But there's going to be some shelves. I'm just delayed on,
Let me just say this. I don't know why, but I have seen probably 5 or 6 Jermaine O'Neal high school jerseys floating around Gamebridge Fieldhouse the last couple of games.
Love to see that. Love to hear it. I got 2 of them.
Which color do you have, orange or green?
Orange. Okay. They're both orange.
Is
One's
there not a green one?
No, I never had a green one.
No, is there a green one, though?
I don't know.
Aren't they orange and green? Isn't that the
orange
clear?
And green, but I think it's just orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just delusional and all I saw was orange.
Probably, yeah. Because I know, like I said, I have 2 of them. It's orange and green. So I think the orange is the only one that they've made. But if anyone ever finds the Celtics green Jermaine O'Neal jersey, I'm still in the market. I will search for that for the rest of my life. So
Can I get you a Shaquille O'Neal one that looks like Jermaine's?
Yeah, right. No, I can't do that. No knockoffs or close enoughs or anything of that sort. If anybody ever has a Jermaine O'Neal Warriors, Jermaine O'Neal Suns, Jermaine O'Neal Celtics jersey, please hit me up. But anyway, we still got some mail to read today. So you want to kick this one off or do you want me to do it?
Let's go back to you kicking things off with our good buddy Nick.
All right, Nick Ogren, hopefully I pronounced that right, said Quenton Jackson's hamstring injury might be the most devastating injury this fall. We've had quite a few, so I don't know, Nick, but given the opportunity in front of him, all right, after a Haliburton-esque 25, 6, 10 assists, and 0 turnover masterclass against the Wizards, when will the team reward him with the standard contract?
Good question. And honestly, I heard people say, and I think we might have even said it, if he doesn't go down in that Bucks game, they win the game.
We win. I stand by it.
Honestly, if he plays in that Nets game, I think they beat the Nets.
Yep. I think so.
Like, he impacts winning in that way. And he doesn't have to be like a lights-out shooter because he didn't shoot the ball great against Milwaukee. He just brings energy that nobody else brings, and he brings a dynamic ball-handling ability. Like, the 10 assists and 0 turnovers, like, that is great, but how much was he really being the initiator of the offense? Not that much. It was still mostly ran through Pascal and some Jarris. But when he was asked to play point guard, he did a good job with it. So I will just say, like, honestly, depending on the health of this team and what's going on with Cam Jones' back and everything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we're at the end of the season and he's played in his 50 games that he's eligible to play, that they call him up and they let Monty Morris go, as we're recording this on November 6th. But I will just say, like, if Monty Morris plays really well and Quenton's out for a while, he might not meet that 50-game threshold. So they could keep him on that. The only problem is he wouldn't be eligible to play in the playoffs if the Pacers made the playoffs. So it could be this year, but I think at this point, the only reason you would do it is if he's playing so well that you want to have him on the playoff roster. That's why they would do it this year.
And that's definitely a really good point. And yeah, as they're playing right now, that might not be something they need to worry about in terms of the playoff roster. But he's definitely someone that if Indiana was going to be a playoff team without Tyrese Haliburton, I want Quenton Jackson available in the playoffs. No doubt about that. I would like to see him rewarded with a contract by the end of the year. I think that would just be like a feel-good moment. And he's deserving of it. He really is. I've said it before on this podcast multiple times. I think he's the best two-way player in this league. I really do. He's a standard contract material player. I like to see him get that opportunity. I hope it's this season, but if it's not, I think it very well could be in the offseason.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, Facci, this is going to be a tough question for you to answer. So let's see if you're ready for it. Hoops Hub wants to know, how much money is too much money for Mathurin where you start to look at trading him via sign and trading him rather than re-signing him? What is the cap that you think is like where Mathurin should be making?
I think if you're talking above $30 million, it starts to become like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, he's a player that could be worthy of 30 million, but I just think that when you're the Pacers and historically you haven't been a tax team and you already have, Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam making over $40 million, and then you just gave out, the Neesmith extension and Nembhard's on his extension, and everyone else has been extended. 30 plus million is kind of where you get a little bit shaky. I felt like the original projected number that Keith Smith of Spot Track had thrown out, who's been on our show a zillion times, the 5 years, 125, which breaks down $25 million per year average. I thought that was like right on par of like where Mathurin could be. Like, hey, he'll continue to develop. That's a number that I feel like is a great number for him. Works for the team, all of that. Once you start crossing $30 million, I definitely think you got to scratch the beard a bit and go, I don't know. Let's just take a look at everything here. So to me, when you're crossing 30, if it's below $30 million, hey, no brainer, this guy's gonna be worth it. If it's above $30 million, you really gotta factor in his fit and everything of the sort.
So if it's 29 million, you're good.
Yeah, 29 million. I mean, yeah, it's I would love to be in that 25-ish range.
Yeah.
I would. 25 to 27 and a half to me feels like, all right, cool. We can do that. If you're really talking like, 5 years, $150 million, it starts to get like, oh, wow, this is big.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, honestly, like if I'm looking at it across the landscape of the league, like 30 million does seem about right for where he was drafted, what his role is. But like at the same time, the Pacers are not one of these teams that is willing to do a lot of this heavy lifting in terms of payment for a guy like Mathurin, because they don't view him as like a key cog, I don't think, for this team. I feel like they can still win games without him on the floor. Because, I mean, this is the same team that let Miles Turner go. And they were basically like playing hardball at $22 million a year at the age of 29. I don't think $22 million a year is what Mathurin's going to be getting, but I don't see a 5-year deal getting done. I think it's going to be a 4-year deal, and I would not be surprised if it kind of feels similar to Roy Hibbert, where the Pacers told Roy Hibbert, go get you a contract, we'll match it if you find something better than what we're offering you. And he gets a decent contract offer from the Portland Trail Blazers, but the Pacers matched it right away. He comes back to the Pacers. So, that's kind of how It
might have been like a $55 million deal at the time or something. Maybe I just 55 is in my head because of his number, but like I remember that deal was like $55-60 million, something like that. And I remember being like, whoa, like look, Roy Hibbert, oh my God, how are we gonna deal with this? And it's like now you look at what we're talking about over here. The league's changed so much.
Yeah, I mean, here's how I look at it. Like, could he just slide into what Miles got paid in Milwaukee? Could the Pacers just kind of give Mathurin that space of money where they were going to give it to Miles? Because for everybody that wants to argue with me and plant their flag in the ground and say that the Pacers were going to match Miles Turner's contract if he gave them the chance, here's their chance to prove it with Ben Mathurin, in my opinion. If they really want Ben Mathurin, they can't say, well, we don't have a chance to match it, right? This is what they have. So in my opinion, it's like it's going to be tough, but I think 25 to 30 million is like the range. We were way too high on Miles Turner last year. I mean, we were talking about 30-31 going into the finals. And I'm like, if that's what he wants, you just got to pay him to keep this team together. Like, I was all about this team is special. Like, don't break it up. But in hindsight, I think that it all comes down to business. And
yeah, it does, though.
It's not even personal. It's just like if Mathurin wants 30 million, like I don't know how they can afford it. I just don't.
That's where I'm at. Of just like it's really tough because without signing Turner, that's the only way you even have a chance to bring back Mathurin. If you sign Turner, it would just be Mathurin. You just got to trade him before because it's impossible. Like Pacers aren't going to just become this like second apron team or anything of the sort. So. Yeah, the $30 million, it almost just feels like, I don't know how far they ever really, if any type of conversations ever got serious in terms of an extension. But I just feel like if you can be at 25 or below, get the deal done. If not, you got to explore all options just because, we know how this front office is. They haven't paid tax in 20 years. 20 years. So,
They cannot let him go for nothing, right?
no,
They
they
can't
can't.
just.
Absolutely not. You've already learned the hard way from that. Can't do it again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how hard when they were going after Ayton. They tried to do a sign and trade for Ayton with Miles Turner, and the Suns wouldn't budge. They definitely explore sign and trade stuff. I remember when the Spurs signed Doug McDermott from the Pacers, they made that a sign and trade deal and gave the Pacers a little bit extra, like a trade exception, that kind of thing. So just keep an eye on that. I think that if Mathurin isn't kept in here long term, it is because they do a sign and trade, and I don't think they'll just let him walk to any team in free agency unless he gets like a hellacious offer. Like if the Brooklyn Nets are like, here's $40 million for the next 4 years, 160. Can't imagine the Pacers saying, "Oh, we'll match that." See ya.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got to have that line in the sand that they draw, and they just say, "This is unfortunately what we can do." And you know what? I think, it stinks, but it is a business. But I think they learned a lot from the Miles situation. They'll make the right decision when it comes down to it. But it's really hard to gauge Mathurin's value, and I think we need to see him play more with this team in order to get a better understanding. 2 games is not enough.
All right, Facci. Well, let's move on to our next question.
All right. In terms of our next question, we are going back to Nick. All right. Nick Ogren is back. He says, of the healthy bench players from 2024 to 2025, which ones have shown the most growth through 8 games in 2025, 2026? Which players have shown the most potential to be key contributors once the guards get healthy later this year?
Okay, so young players that have shown potential. Well, we haven't really seen much from Furphy because he hasn't got to play a whole lot. I mean, who are we looking at here? Jarris?
Nembhard played
Shep?
2 quarters. Mathurin played 2 games. So I would say like Quenton Jackson is someone that in limited fashion just showed me it's like, hey,
Yeah,
I like
but like he wasn't really even in the rotation last year or even on the bench. He was a two-way guy. So I'm literally looking at the roster from last year. It's like Jarris, Shep, and Ijax before he got hurt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
Ijax, rough start. I think he's gotten better as of late. I think Jarris, with the opportunities he's been given,
yeah.
I've seen more good than bad. I'm intrigued by a lot of stuff. Still some stuff I don't love, but still some things I'm really intrigued by. And then with Shep, like I honestly like he wasn't playing really well until the last game against the Nets. And Rick Carlisle said that was his best performance as a Pacer ever.
Wow.
Like that's high praise from your coach. We know Coach Carlisle loves Shep. I mean, Facci, he was doing stuff that me and you have never seen him do. Okay.
Yeah.
He had a step back 3 off the dribble in the second quarter. And then he actually drove from coast to coast as the point guard. He was weaving and bobbing through like 3 Nets defenders, hit a reverse layup. I was like, who is this guy? What happened to Ben Shepherd? Like the opportunity here, he took advantage of it. He was playing with so much more force, so much more competitiveness. I liked it a lot. I thought he showed some growth in that game. Can he build off of it? At this point, we're recording this, like I said, on November 6th, which is a week prior to when this episode is releasing. So we'll have a much bigger sample size to see what he's doing on the road. But I don't know. I would say Jarris overall to me has probably looked the best, and he's been given the most opportunity. Shot making and force can still be a little inconsistent, but I like his mindset. I think he does a very good job of knowing where to lead guys, even though he can make some dumb passes. He makes some really smart passes, too, that a lot of other guys on this team can't make.
Yeah, I think going back to your point on Ben Shepherd, he had 7 made shots against Brooklyn. He had 7 made shots in his previous 5 games combined. So yeah, he definitely found the bottom of that net. I thought it was awesome. Great to see. Hopefully something he can build on. Jarris Walker, yeah, I think you've seen a lot of, I don't want to call them flashes, but like there's definitely been moments where you're like, "Ooh, wow, that looked really good. That looked like growth." And it still has ways to continue to grow. So unfortunately, there's not many players that we can really say, "Oh, I've seen this, I've seen that," because it's been such a handful of games. Like the first 2 games, Mathurin looked incredible. He looked like an all-star. So that was great to see. But yeah, like we said, it's 2 games. So I want to see more. It's just we need a larger sample size. The other part of the question, which players have shown the most potential to be key contributors once the guards get healthy later this year? I mean,
Jarris, Furphy.
Yeah. Like I would love to see, Furphy, I'd love to see him just on the court playing. Like I think that's someone that we were so excited about in the offseason. That would be great to see. And like I'm going back to Quenton Jackson. Obviously, it's harder when the guards are healthy because there's less opportunity for him. But like he just makes the most of his time. So I think that's probably what I would just say. Just because like right now it's just Jarris. You want to see Jarris with better players. I think that would help out.
All right, let's move on to our next question. This one comes from Megan Ogren. She said, I love seeing Huff hit some threes and give us his first reverse dunk in the Nets game. Have your thoughts on Huff's potential or IGX changed after the recent homestand? Why or why not?
Yeah, no, it has. I've been disappointed with Jay Huff. Like I was just.
So did you see it live? Did you watch any of that game? I know you were not feeling well, so I know you might have been bad.
But Nets, I watched the first half of that. So
okay, so the second half is when he had the backwards dunk. Did you see the highlight clip on Twitter?
I did, and that looked like the highlights that we saw in the offseason. Like kind of looked like what we've been waiting on. So it was definitely his best game, like no doubt about that. Like he was hitting threes. He had 16 points. Like we hadn't seen anything even close. So that's awesome. Like this was kind of the Jay Huff that had been advertised to us.
Yeah.
Of like, all right, hey, this is what he could be. But like we haven't seen enough of this consistently. I mean, think about this. He had 16 points against Brooklyn. The previous 2 games, he was scoreless. He didn't even take shots in those games. It was just kind of non-existent. So longer term potential, I've soured a little bit on. But I think in night and day, think about this for how good he was against Brooklyn. Isaiah Jackson was incredible the previous game against Milwaukee. Like it's just too inconsistent from both players, and that makes me a little bit shaky on their like starting potential.
I think my potential for Jay Huff has maybe gotten back to where I thought it was previously in the preseason because he's shooting the ball with more confidence, and he said that Jim Boylan and Johnny Carpenter were like, you got to shoot the ball when you're open. Shoot it. Took 9 3-pointers. 9. Okay? We're not used to seeing him do that at all. Like, he was letting it fly, and I get it. Like, he's kind of in this center roulette with Tony Bradley and Isaiah Jackson. Like, doesn't know when he's going to play, how long he's going to play. He doesn't know who he's going to play with half the time either because there's so much roster fluidity, like going back and forth of who's in the game and who's not. So there's just so much inconsistency. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like, okay, give this man a month or two with a McConnell. Give this man a month or two with Nembhard, a month or two with Haliburton, and it could be a lot different. The gravity on the floor could be much different. He could finally be getting some looks where he could provide, but like I think at the end of the day, he is a fringe backup, more of a really strong third string center, but more of a fringe backup. And I think Isaiah Jackson is a fringe starter, great backup. And Ijax obviously had a really good game against the Bucks, like you said. I thought he had a really good second half against the Warriors that completely changed the outcome of that game with him being out there. So have seen much better from him. I think that it's just going to take some time to get the chemistry with Pascal and that group out there, as well as just getting his feet wet from the injury. But overall, like, yeah, I'm probably about the same on Huff. Maybe a little bit more intrigued by Jackson just because I like the process. I think he's gotten much better at not fouling. Really, ever since that first half against the Warriors, it's like he's not been getting a lot of stupid fouls early on, and that to me is just something he had to clean up, and I think he's, small sample size, done it.
Yeah, I think when I look at Ijax, it's like I said before, like I think he's a really good backup in this league, but the last 4 games, I mean, he's rebounded consistently well. Like he really has. His last 4 games, he's averaging about 9 rebounds per game. And I feel like that's a great, characteristic that we've been looking for a while. Like, who on the Pacers can rebound? I know we went through the stats and we saw they were like the highest rebounding team in the NBA, which any other year we would have killed for, except for the year that unfortunately it's not making a difference. But Isaiah Jackson, if he can be physical, rebound like he's been this year, the last few games, that could go a long, long way. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen the last 4 games. He's averaging about 11 and 9 from the field. I mean, that's really good for Ijax. So, you'd love to see that just a little bit more consistently over a larger sample size. For Jay Huff, I just think he's going to be a little bit too hot and cold. But, hey, I would love to see him build off of his best performance yet.
All right, Facci, the next question I think is for you.
Yep. So the next question on our list, we are going to Bearable Fan. Is Aaron Nesmith's ability to draw charges and offensive fouls the most underrated skill set that he has.
I say yes. I mean, how many guys are willing to give their body like Aaron Nesmith is?
Not enough. Not enough.
Nobody on this Pacers team is willing. I know TJ will do it at times, but like diving on the floor for loose balls. I mean, the elbow to the chin that he took from Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs last year.
That stands out to me. And it was so big when it happened. Like, he took Donovan Mitchell's will on that. When he drew that charge, Donovan Mitchell was literally like, man, I'm too tired for this. He broke his will of just that's it. Like, we're not winning this game. And that was like just after, I think, that Nesmith had that putback dunk at the free throw line. So it just showed that he's like, he'll do it on both ends. So it is a very underrated skill set of his.
Yeah, without a doubt, this is the most underrated. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, I just think that, hey, it's a good thing to point out, and that's honestly like a major reason that he got paid, because he's a player that's willing to do anything to win, and he makes a big impact on winning.
All right, we got 2 questions left here for the mailbag in November. Facci, we're going to end things here from my end with asking questions. From the Liquid Meddler, he wants to know, if Mathurin's first 2 games prove to be true of his new level of play, does Nembhard become the piece to help acquire a potential big who could play center? In parentheses says Jabari Smith Jr. ? In the 26-27 season and beyond.
Oh man, I think it'd be a mistake to trade Andrew Nembhard. I think we're living in a moment where he's barely even played, so it's quick to just forget him. Like, he plays 2 quarters, didn't look great. All of a sudden, it's easy to be like, well, we could do without him. But what about when he did play last year? Like, he was so vital to winning. And I know if you're looking at 2 quarters versus 2 games, neither are a big sample size, and Mathurin looked off the charts. But Andrew Nembhard brings a lot to this team, a lot defensively, and then offensively. He has a lot of potential. We just didn't get to see any of it. Like, remember this: Andrew Nembhard at one point was the favorite for most improved player of the year. He just hasn't really played at all this year. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and start drawing up scenarios where we're trading Nembhard. I think it would be a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, just from what we've heard from Rick Carlisle and what we've seen from the front office, Nembhard's a priority. They got that contract done pretty quickly with his extension back in, I think it was July is when he signed his extension last year, right? So they just understand the value that he brings to the table, and nobody can take away what he did in Game 6 against Jalen Brunson. Like, you don't have anybody on your roster that can frustrate a guy. Like, you just talked about Aaron Nesmith taking away the will of Donovan Mitchell.
Dude.
I mean, you literally had Jalen Brunson headbutt Andrew Nembhard because he was driving him nuts. And you know what Andrew Nembhard did? He smiled and threw his hands up in the air.
Loved it.
He said, give me some more of that. I think, and Mathurin will smile too with that stuff. Like, they're such different players. And I mean, it's not really fair to sit there and compare the two. Like, the Jabari Smith Jr. Discussion at the center position. Like, okay, let's get funky. I don't love it. It's kind of more like your Obi Toppin small ball 5 at times. It's not something you want to hinge your hat on for a long time, and I think Jabari Smith would want to start at the center spot or in the starting 5 if traded here. So I don't think that's the trade, but I could see the Rockets wanting to go after Nembhard because Ime Udoka would love somebody like that. But I mean, Nembhard, he's going to be coveted around the league once he gets healthy because people are going to need that extra point guard and maybe even looking for their long-term point guard. But I think with Indiana, you've got him under contract for the next couple of years. No reason to trade him right now. I think he's a great value for what you have built, and I think he could be a big piece for this team moving forward, even past Pascal Siakam's time here as a Pacer.
Yeah, I like just going back to the point. It's easy to forget. It's easy to overlook. Just when you see him out there, you'll see a difference. I wouldn't be surprised if Nembhard returns, Pacers start winning some games again. But until then, it's obviously easy to say, well, what if, or this guy could become expendable. That's what happens when you're losing. Everyone seems like they're not as important as they were before, but I don't blame you. Last question we got. Doug Giles. Assuming the greatest need next year is center, I think it takes 3 years for a non-superstar center to show true potential. I don't think there is a Shaq or Robinson, I imagine means David Robinson, talent in college right now. What is the best way to address the need not through the draft?
Via trade, right? We've kind of talked about this already. So
I just want to point out one thing over here for Doug. Like, I love how, you can see from Doug's Twitter picture, he's talking about the good old days when a center prospect was like a true, like this is everything. Like David Robinson and Shaq as prospects were unbelievable number one overall
He said, I
prospects.
think David Robinson. What other Robinson at center is
I just want to, just in today's where we're showing our age, like Robinson, to put it out there for everybody, like that's what I think of. But like your 15-year-old might not be like, who's Robinson? Like is that Thomas Robinson who went second overall and is a huge bust?
Thomas
Like
Robinson?
no, it's not. Yeah, so
Glenn Robinson the third?
Glenn Robinson's a common name, but for people who are on the younger side, David Robinson was that dude coming out of the draft. He was actually so good. He was drafted. He still had to serve in the Navy for 2 years. Still the top pick. So, but anyway, yeah, those are must hit centers. The game's changed. You just don't get those guys anymore in the draft. It's unfortunate.
I mean, you could, right? Like
Wemby, I guess, would be the closest.
But right now, I don't see a great prospect in the draft at the center spot. I mean, we kind of looked at it like the guy from Houston on a lot of big boards is like in the top 10, but like that's like their first center off the board.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit longer for big guys to develop too.
Last year, I think center wasn't picked until Houston at 10.
Who did they pick?
Guy from Duke. I don't want to butcher his name.
Oh, Phoenix got him.
That's what I meant. It was a trade. It was a trade with Phoenix and Houston.
Yeah. I forget his name too.
It's with an M. I don't want to mispronounce it, but yeah. But that was the first center taken at like pick 10. So it's just like that's
the year before, like everybody kept talking about, could Donovan Clingan from UConn be like a top 3 pick, and like he fell to 8, I think. So it's kind of like Zach Edey was a great college basketball player.
Yeah,
and he fell a little bit, and like I remember Yahoo, Kristen Peak, one of our favorite draft analysts, came on the show and was like, I wouldn't touch Zach Edey for nothing in the NBA with those slow feet. She gave it like a D. Then he plays pretty well, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, in your face. And she's like, I don't care. I still stand by what I said. Can't stay healthy. I mean, that's the problem. Greg Oden, like, that's probably like the last prospect that I can really remember. Maybe Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, but like I'm talking like in terms of like a legit back to the basket center. Greg Oden?
True story. 2007 NBA lottery machine. I did it so many times that the Pacers landed the number 1 pick for Greg Oden. I printed it out and I hung it on my wall. And I hoped, and I just looked at it and I just prayed. And you never know. Like that's how big of a hype it was for Greg Oden. And I mean, it just didn't work out injury wise. But that's what happens with some of these bigs. It's just the body, the wear and tear on an NBA season is just that much more, detrimental to him. But yeah, for the Pacers, if you can't get like an elite center with like a top 5 pick, it starts to become, if you're picking your center 10th overall, it's like he could be good, he might not, you never really know. But I think trade has always been Indiana's real like way of landing good players. I think that they have a history of just bringing in good players to trade.
Yeah, and one name we mentioned in the offseason a little bit we haven't talked about today is Wendell Carter Jr.
Very serviceable.
I know Orlando's not playing great right now, and it's early on in the season, but a lot of what I've seen from Orlando fans is they're not changing up any of their offensive philosophies, and it's like they just felt like plugging in Desmond Bane to what they were already running would just change things, and it wasn't. And so it's like I'm not a big Jamal Mosley guy. I think he's fine. He doesn't really move the needle for me. I think they need more of an offensive mind down there to kind of unlock what that team has. But I don't know. They're going to be interesting because they're going to have a lot of money to pay out, and they could be a team that is willing to get off some money for something. So just something to keep an eye on. But other than that, I don't have anything else to add. Facci, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I don't. Always fun hearing from you guys. Really appreciate the questions that were sent in. So some good ones, some that got us thinking. Obviously some common themes as well, though, on the center spot and maybe which players are performing or underperforming or anything of that sort. So I think it's always a fun activity, and I think we're all in together. We can see a lot of questions, not enough answers. The questions are going to build as the season goes on. Once things become a little bit more real as to like where this Pacers team is going to be able to, where they're really heading towards. And I think for right now, it hasn't been pretty, but it ain't over yet.
Well, the good news is, Facci, the road trip is over tonight against the Phoenix Suns, and so we can see the Pacers back in action Saturday against the Raptors at home. But if you open the Pacers in this road trip with a victory, against the Phoenix Suns, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go Pacers.